तस्मै श्री नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So we're starting this class on the Nyaya Sutras. We have done the fourth chapter, first part. We are approaching the end of this chapter. So last week we did up till the 56th sutra. So I think we'll just revise the last two sutras and then we'll quickly move on to the new ones today. I'll share them up on screen. So here we were discussing joy and sorrow, and there is a technique by which we develop what we call vairagyam, or non-dependence on all the objects of the world. That dependence has to be in a unique way as is presented here, by saying that everything is of the form of sorrow only. The joy we seek is also temporary. So when it goes away, that also becomes a kind of a pain for us. Or we can say in the interval when we have joy, then in between we have moments when we have pain, or there is a continuous search for joy, which also involves a lot of pain. So, like for enjoying even a very simple thing like a long, beautiful drive in a car, we have to first own that car, and owning that car will involve like months and years maybe of hard work to attain that object, and so on. Some objects are obtained easily, others less so. So we are here starting with the 55th sutra we saw earlier. 55th and 56th we saw, but this is the beginning of this topic. So vivid badhana yogat dukkham eva janam utpatti. So janam utpatti, birth or being born, janam utpatti, coming into existence, uh, is dukkham eva, is a kind of sorrow only. Vivid badhana yogat, because of different distresses, or badhana is different kinds of obstacles that we see in our way. So whenever we are born into this world, we go through a series of experiences where different obstacles come in our way. These different obstacles give us all kinds of pain, hurt, or maybe what we can say tough experience, going through which takes a lot of effort. So that is what we call the feeling of pain. So just coming into this world it might seem like a negative way of looking at things, but the negative way is not to discourage us from enjoying the joy. We are supposed to enjoy the joy, enjoy the good moments, but not look at something that we would want to get into again and again, because with that joy is there are other negative moments also. So here we are talking about dukkha only, pain. Pain is a necessary part of our life. All our life we go through different kinds of pain. That includes striving for things we need. That includes striving to stay away from things that hurt us. Uh, that includes our relationships with people around us, the effort it takes to maintain a relationship, the kind of work we have to do to, hold things together in any kind, be it a family, be it a couple, be it with our children, or whatever we are, connections that we make in all our life. That includes all our friends. So in this way, Padhana Yoga, the obstacles keep coming in our life, just from the simple fact that we are born, right? And then second we saw na sukhasya antaral nishpattehe. We are saying that pleasure is not denied. Antaral nishpattehe, within this interval, that through life we go through life, there is a interval of sukha also, but then that is followed by another period of maybe emptiness, and then dukkha also. So all these alternations happen. So pleasure is also there, it is not denied, but it is produced in short term. So none of the pleasure or the joys of the world are permanent. None of them are things that we can hold on to. So with this thought in mind, we should hold on to our pleasures with the fact that learning the fact that holding on to these objects will never give us permanent joy. Our expectation, what is our true nature? Our true nature is of joy. Our true nature is of infinite permanent joy, Ananda Rupa. So that Ananda Rupa is the Ananda of the soul. But when we are dragged down to the level of the world, then the joys and sorrows of this world become transient. They do not let us, hold on to any kind of joy for a long period. So therefore, Vairagyam teaches us not to have any expectations. In that way, whatever sukha is going to come, that we can enjoy, but then we should not hold on to its expectations. It is the expectations, in fact, that bring us more pain, right? And then next one. So we'll start this new one today. So what is it saying? Badhana nivrittehe vedayatah paryeshan doshat apratishedah. Badhana nivrittehe vedayah. So when we are going through our life, we have different badhanas, we have different obstacles that come. And nivrittehe, getting rid of them, avoiding them is our constant endeavor. We are constantly endeavoring to get rid of all these obstacles that are uh, coming in our way. So, Vadana Nivritte Vedyata, the person who knows this, the person who sees the obstacles that are coming in his way, what is his constant endeavor? Pariyeshan dosha apratishedha. So, he is inflicted with what we call a pariyeshan dosha, which is called the expectation of joy. The expectation of joy. Sukh prapti ki abhilasha, the desire of getting joy at a later state. So I am not happy now. So when I am one of the major uh, problems with our seeking of joy is that I'm never satisfied, right? I keep looking for newer and newer experiences that will bring me joy. So they turn what we call the even the happy uh, parts into times of anxiety. Even when I'm happy, some people are worried that it will go away. So they take precautions so that it will stay. Sometimes those precautions will, even transgress moral righteousness. They will transgress what we should actually be doing. So in maintaining that hold of the pleasures, maintaining our hold on the pleasures, uh, we tend to have a lot of pain, right? So, as I repeat again and again, this portion is not saying that we should, become negative in our life. We should not become like uh, we should not lose hope. We always have through Shastra. The Shastra is guiding us towards the true joy, the joy of the soul, so that whenever I know I am infinite, I am beyond all these limitations, then all these joys and sorrows of the world, they cease to affect me, right? So I am in a state of what we call equanimity, sambhav. I am in a state of calmness. That calmness arises from knowing my true nature. But that calmness is continuously seeking to be disturbed by the ways of the world. The world is always looking at ways by which it can draw me out of my comfort zone, right? So in this way, all the comforts that I have, they can go away at any moment. And even if they don't go away, there is we saw Badhana, Lakshan, Pariyeshana, Dosha. There is always that constant anxiety that we need to hold on to these, otherwise we might, lose this security. It's the same with money, it's the same with house. Any time in life, you can never say the richest of people, they have come down and then again they have had to build it up again. So let's not look it in a negative way. It is being taught that our holding on to pleasure should not be in such a way that our life should become a constant struggle for reaching after the joys of the world. Right? Seek the joy, the inner joy, the joy of the Lord, the joy of meditation, the joy of holding on to the Lord, praying to Him. Seek joy then in all the activities that he has led us into as his blessings. Once we seek that joy of seeing everything as a blessing from Lord, then all our worldly experience becomes smooth and fill of a deep inner ananda, deep inner joy. So till then, we have to regard the joys and sorrows of the world as only pulling us down, as only making us dependent, right? So badhana nivritte vedyata pareshan dosh. That pareshan dosha will always be there. That pushing after pleasures, that desiring after pleasures, it will keep going on. And then we go on to the next one. Dukh vikalpe hai sukh abhimanat cha. So there is sukh abhimana. There is a what we call abhiman or conceit of pleasure in what is only dukha vikalp, only another name for pain. So again, that same thought being repeated here, that when most people will try all of their life to keep on, getting pleasure from the world. Even though this world is full of lot of negative distresses, right from our beginning, they may be related to any kind of disease, any kind of uh, hurt, any kind of death within our relationships, and any kind of what we call connection and separation. So all of these become very difficult for us to, it becomes difficult for us to stay calm when all of these distresses come. So this world being, this Janma itself being of the form of series of joys and sorrows. The sorrows, of course, being painful, the joys are punctuated by anxiety of being not being able to hold on to all of the joys and sorrows that we think should be coming our way. So dukkha vikalpa, that dukkha vikalpa is always there in all of the sukhas. I may think I am sukhi, I may think that I am happy all of the time, but there will always come a time when the objects, because the objects themselves are not permanent, right? The objects not being permanent, they cannot give us permanent joy. They will keep on coming and going. So their going will always give us some kind of sorrow, and their coming will always generate some kind of anxiety within us as to whether we will attain the object of our desires or not, right? And of course, as I said earlier, the attaining of those objects requires in itself a lot of effort. So it might be the effort of making money to buy a particular object. It might be the effort of, reaching or traveling to a certain object which is far. So any kind of these, because nothing worth having is available easily. Everything that is worth having, you have to make an effort. And that includes even all our relationships. To hold on to relationships, we have to give a lot more, right? So even though we should understand the concept behind that, giving is the real love. The real love is in giving to others, not in expecting. So once we learn that, then all of these efforts do not bother us. But till then, we have to understand that if you have to have, if you have to develop vairagya within you, then you have to give up the attachment to the objects. And you should drop the expectation of desire from objects. So vairagya udbhava, the arising of vairagya within us is necessary. That can only be done by not looking at all of these objects as sources of pleasure. Then further, we are now looking at apvarga, right? So when we are looking at sukha, when we are looking at joy, then that joy being temporary, then what should we be looking for? We should be looking at the highest joy. The highest joy is the joy of release or moksha or freedom, total freedom. So that is called apvarga. That is called apvarga. So apvarga we saw earlier also in the first chapter, where all the categories were defined. So all of these categories all of these categories were described in what all categories, all our actions in the world, they lead us to. So out of that, the highest motive for us is release or moksha or self-realization. So reaching for that self-realization, here it is being said, is not easy. So what are the obstacles? ऋण, कलेश, pravritti anubandhat apavarga abhava. So we all are seeking after apavarga or moksha once we have risen beyond the worldly desires or seen that the worldly desires are futile. So once we desire to go beyond, then first of all, we should have enjoyed all the joys of the world, and in enjoying, realizing that none of them are permanent, we finally reach out for our striving for moksha or apavarga. So, apavarga, when we are beyond any kind of classification, varga, any kind of divisions, when we give up all kinds of divisions, then we reach into that highest point. So, the Rena, Klesh, and Pravritti, they are the major obstacles in this reaching for moksha. And so, there is some say no opportunity for us to attain release or moksha because of our continual association of our debts, our troubles, and activities. Right? So we have constant association with different kinds of rinas in our life. So in this text, they have the English translation. Probably the guy is more read a lot of Buddhist literature, so he has given a lot of quotes from there. But we have to look at it from the portions which Nyaya itself is quoting, because Nyaya is continuously allied to all the other darshan shastras. So I will come to that term. So the first term is Rena. So Rena is something that is constantly going to keep us occupied in this world. Rena means all our debts, right? So Rena means all the debts. So our debts in this world, they are never ceasing, never ending. We clear one debt and another one arises. The three main kind of rinas that we have that are mentioned in the Shastra is the first one is Rishi Rina. Second one is Dev Rin. And the third one is Pitri Rin. Right? So this Rishi Rin, Dev Rin, and Pitri Rin, these are the three kind of debts that we incur. Rishi Rin is towards our gurus or the people who teach us. So that can be, cleared. That debt can be cleared by gaining knowledge of the Shastras or all other kinds of knowledge. So that is a debt we owe to the world, because only when we clear that debt, what is our main motive in life? We are born into this universe. We are born into this world, which is what we call Prakriti. So Prakriti is the one that nourishes and nurtures us, right? So we have what we call a symbiotic relation with the universe around us. That symbiotic relation is represented in a kind of relationship that we call Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti and Samashti. The individual and the total. The individual and the total are intimately connected to each other. The individual being very intimately connected, because everything the individual does is going to affect, it has its ripple effects in the world around us. Anything, any good thing we do, it will be followed by ripples of things happening around us. We appreciate someone, that person is happy, he will talk to few other people in a happy mode, and so that ripple effect percolates to the people or the society around us. And the same way with bad things also. If we say something wrong or evil or angry to someone, then that will set off the person into a bad mood. And that will affect other people around that person. I have told some stories also earlier, so I'll not repeat. So when I told one story about a person being, abused by his boss. He took it on his wife. Then the wife took it on the maid. The maid took it out on the dog. Then the dog finally went out and bit another person who turned out to be the boss. So in all of these interactions that we see around us, we see that whatever we do wrong against the world, it comes back to hurt us. So in order to be in sync with the people around us, with the world around us. We have to give up. We have to, clear our debts to this world. And these are just, uh, these are beautiful ways of encapsulating that, how we are going to be giving up. So Rishi, when we study, what do? We gain knowledge. We gain knowledge. We become more responsible citizens of the world, not just of our country or our place. We are all one universe. So when we behave responsibly in the world, that can only come firstly through gaining of knowledge, and that knowledge is taught by our shastras. How to live in sync with the world, how to maintain the rivers, how to maintain our own body, how to maintain our people relationships, and so on. All of these are taught. Highest level of respect is given to not just our parents. Of course, parents deserve highest respect, not just our relatives, but anyone we meet. Anyone, Atithi Devo Bhava. Everyone is given accorded the status of being a god or a deity, and accordingly they need to be served. So this kind of relationship is sustained or nurtured by knowledge, first of all. Then what is the next one? So the next one is Rishi Rin, then that is followed by Dev Rin, and then the Pitri Rin. So Dev Rin is, we do that. How do we clear that Dev Rin? It's a very long topic, but I'll just keep it short in terms of this discussion. So when we clear our Dev Rina, what we are doing? Technically, we are doing a Havan, Homa. है ना? Homa. But Homa is not just that fire exercise you do. Homa is everything that you do to sacrifice. Anything you do to sacrifice. To give up your time to other people, to help the people in need, to spread happiness and laughter, to share the food that you have, share the resources that you have. So the more we saw earlier also, Prithvi is Yagya Rupaha. This universe is of the nature of the Yagya. Whatever you give to it, it gives us back multiplied manifold. That is Yagya Bhava. So that Yagya Bhava helps us nourish our relationships or people around us. The more we give to the world, the more we get back. Because the Devtas are watching us. They are watching us. They are seeing that this person is contributing more of his earnings to people around him. So they give us more. They will always keep giving us more because they know this person will spread it to the right people. Right. So a person who is responsible towards society, he will always get more resources. Just like when we work in any big company, whenever we take on more responsibilities, we are given more power. Right. So I keep repeating this, maybe a board of this, but in Spider-Man, he says, with great power becomes great responsibility, right? But we say the reverse. We say with great responsibility, you get more great powers. Yeah. I'm always a big fan of Spider-Man, Flash. Yeah. So, so all these, shows and all this, they give us some universal codes, but our Shastra also has these universal truths in some kind of form. So when we take on more responsibility, we always get more power. We always get more resources to wield that power, right? So when we do a, what we call sankalpaha for welfare, we are doing something like flood welfare, supporting the victims of floods around us. Once we publicize that, the devtas will come together to help us. How? When this news spreads, the people around us will be mobilized. Everyone will help. Like, what can I do for you? Everyone doesn't have the time to go out and actually do that, right? So in this way, all of these activities that we do, they help us keep the universe around us, the nature around us in a more healthy state. Today, we are more interested in, raping nature. We are interested in getting the most, exacting the most out of nature without giving back. And then when nature gets hurt, it strikes back. It hits at us hard. And then we say, why me? Why so many people were hurt? Why? Because we were not responsible citizens. So in this way, that Devarin has to be cleared off. It has to be, and it has to be constantly done. Every day that comes in our life, it constitutes of things that we get from nature. Even a small glass of milk, how much of effort is going behind, for getting it from the cow to you. So many people are involved there. So you have to pay back your debt, right? And then finally, of course, the final rina is the pitri rina. So all of these rinas, I'm taking a long time on this sutra because it's a very beautiful and important one. So why the worldly pursuits are going to tie us down, and how we can, go beyond that. So the Pitri Rina is, our father has given birth to us, we have to give birth to more children. But that is not just the only concept behind it. Pitri Rena involves looking after the people under my care, looking after the people, and that will include all the people that I have taken responsibility for. If I'm doing a business, then the people working under me. If I'm working in a company, then the people who are working with me, my team, and so on. That all comes under Pitri Rena, looking after the people around me. So all of these three rinas, they say, are going to stop us from going towards uh, moksha. Because why? Because everything we do, every activity we'll do will generate some kind of karma phala. Then that karma phala we have to bhog, we have to enjoy. Then that will give us some kind of experience or samskara, and so on. The cycle will go on and on. So where is the time left for moksha? Every experience will multiply manifold. One experience will give rise to maybe two, or then four, and then tens and hundreds of experiences in the future. So this cycle of the world, which we call this chakra, it keeps on going. It is something that is never ending. Of course, how we will get off it, the sutra will answer. I will not answer here. So Rena Klesh. Next is the Klesh. So for anyone who has read the Yoga Sutras, there we have defined the kleshas. So the five kleshas basically involve, in short, we can say, they are the reasons by which we get caught up in the world. So avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, the five kleshas. So these five kleshas, they keep us bound to the world. Avidya is our ignorance. I ignorance that I'm a limited being. So that keeps me trapped in the world. Asmita, the feeling of, this is mine, or this is, I possess this. So because of this, asmita is a greater sin. They say, then raga dvesha. Raga dvesha will attach you to the objects around the world. But asmita will trap you from inside. This person is mine, that object is mine, that मैं मेरा is something that will constantly keep us away from moksha. So that this is listed as one of the objects that will rein us back, in our search for moksha. And then raga and dvesha, we know obviously, are ragas, are attachments towards objects. Dvesha are hatred or aversions. And then abhinivesha, when I enter somewhere, where into this birth, I think that I am a body, or I am a mind. So the consciousness that has entered within me, abhinivesha, gets trapped in this bodily prison, and because of that, it is never able to leave. So abhinivesh also traps us. So all of these become, factors which take us. Then next is Renaklesh Pravritti. So pravritti is activity, the constant striving for actions, doing things to attain something, earning money, and so on. Pravritti or karma, it keeps us constantly occupied in these things. So he says, Rena Klesh Pravritti Anubandhat Apavarga Apabhava. Because we will constantly be carried through these, then constantly caught up in these, there is no chance of getting out of this cycle. So we will never be able to gain moksha. So what is the answer to this? Then pradhan shabd anupapattehe गुण शब्देन अनुवादः निंदा prashansa upapatti. Pradhana Shabda Anupatti. So Pradhana Shabda Anupapatti, there is what we call two kinds of vritti, Mukhya vritti and Gauna vritti. So Mukhya and Gauna vritti are what? Whenever we are saying, talking about something, then uh, there is what we call the direct meaning and there is an indirect or subsidiary meaning of any kind of sentence. There might be something different. So I'll not go into the examples. There are too many examples, but it just understand in the context of Shastra. So where Shastra is saying that as soon as a person is born, he will incur these three kind of debts. So that Rena, Klesh and Pravritti. So all these three kinds of debts that are there, they will be incurred. So it is what it is talking about. It is talking at the point from where I am looking at. Where am I standing? From which drishtikon or from which angle am I looking down? If I am looking at myself as a limited jiva or as a body or as a person, as even a consciousness trapped in a body, then in that case, my outlook is dependent on this body. So for this body and this mind and the body, this stool sukshma sharir complex, for me, there is a sense of limitness. So I am limited. So that limitedness makes me trapped into this kind of pravritti. But once I look at myself as Atma, then all these disappear. Right? So the Shastra is talking in an indirect sense about these that I will get trapped. There it is talking about the limited me. It is talking about the divided jiva atma that I think of myself to be. So in this way, it is talking what we call in a gona vritti. It is talking in a subsidiary way about this shariram. But what is the mukhya artha? The main meaning is directed towards my full true nature, my full infinite being. So my infinite being. So wherever I associate my consciousness, to that level is my free will. That level is my free will. So some say free will is non-existent. No, our Shastras clearly say the free will is dependent on how you think of yourself. So if you think of if there is a smaller being like a worm, so their free will is very much limited. And in the case of the humans, the free will is much higher, right? But if we give up all of these, then we become devtas. Because the devtas, the free will is much more higher. They can operate at larger scales. So the Surya Devta is looking at the whole universe, all the seeing power, and so on. So there, the field of free will is much higher. But when I go to the highest at the Atma level, my field is infinite. Everything is infinite. I can manifest an infinite number of universes. I can run all of them. I am the power which is running all of these universes. And so there my free will is infinite. So there pradhana shabda anupatte hai, whatever the pradhana shabda is saying, and Guna Shabden Anuvada, we have to accept sometimes the secondary meaning. The secondary meaning, the scripture text might be saying something, Shastra will be saying something that is in the context of the world, about that is in the context of this Prakriti. But if I go beyond that, if I as long as I am accepting a Paramatma, I will be a Jivatma. As long I will be dependent on that Paramatma. But if I consider myself as only Atma, then there is no Jivatma or Paramatma. There is nothing to limit me. Right? So Pradhana Shabda, sometimes we have to give up. So what is the thought that we have to hold on to? Adhikarat cha vidhanam vidya antarvat. So adhikar. It depends on what kind of adhikara I'm talking about, what kind of adhikara is given to us. So, whenever there is a vidhanam, whenever there is an injunction, you should do that, right? So, there are different kinds of sayings in the scriptures, like we have in the foreign, in the Bible also, the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill, and so on. So, they are there. So, similarly, we have different kinds of vidhanam. So for all of the vidhanams or all of the injunctions are there. They are vidya antarvat. They give us different kinds of knowledge or different kind of behavior that we have to hold on to. So all of these uh, with all of these vidhanams, all of these what we call injunctions, they give a certain kind of instruction for us to do, and that will be for what person? Adhikara. Sure. Adhikari. Who is the adhikari? Who is the one who should be given? So if the person is a worldly person, a grihastha, then for him the adhikara is in the worldly things only. So for him the rina, klesha, all of them are there. But if the adhikari is a mumukshu, a person who's seeking after liberation, then that adhikari is different. That very same person, he can be a grihastha in his normal time, but when he is understanding, conceptually what this soul is, or he's understanding the Atma, then at that point he becomes adhikari for the highest knowledge. So for him, the what we call injunction or the teaching about moksha can be given to that person, right? So that is why the Shastra said, don't teach this kind of knowledge to everyone. Everyone will not have knowledge. The Gita itself shares in the, even at right at the end in the 18th chapter, 68th verse. So there it is saying that not no, this knowledge is not for everyone. Don't force it down everyone's throat, right? So which is why I don't call everyone and drag them. I just call those who are interested. So maybe few people come. So not everyone will be there. But sometimes, when we did this class on clubhouse, so 50, 60 people would join. So they maybe like to listen to spiritual talks, but they will not be understanding the full import, because they have not they have not had a background in this kind of thing. So not everyone will be interested. So this knowledge is supposed to be for people only who are interested. So adhikara cha vidhanam, whatever is the vidhanam, whatever has been an injunction, it depends from the person to person. It depends on the person who is understanding. So apavarga is not said to be unavailable just because there are some certain kinds of obstacles in our way. These obstacles are for the person who thinks of himself as a jivatma, who thinks of himself as a person, as a limited being, as a manushya, and so on. So whatever I think of myself, that only I become, and according to that my vyavahara is. So the teacher is going to indicate to you your true nature. When that true nature is indicated, then you are no longer caught up in all of these limitations, right? So different kinds of adhikaras are there. For the householder it is different, for a Brahmin is it different, and even for a same householder, when he has reached the ashramas of the later age. So right, we have in our natural cycle of Hinduism, we have the four stages, the four ashramas. So brahmachari, then grihastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyasa. So in sannyasa ashram, or maybe even before that, the instruction starts when that inclination comes. For some people, it comes very young also. So some, they don't even get into grihastha, like Shankaracharya or so many of others. But there are others who have been living in grihastha, and yet they are equivalent to a sannyasi. They are not caught in the bandhans or the problems of the world. But we always have to look at our adhikara wherever we are situated. So I can be in a household, I can be doing my duties, and yet internally my mind is set on the highest goal. So my behavior will be different from the normal householder. I will do all my duties because that is my duty, my kartavyam. I have to do it. So I cannot run away from that. If I run away, moksha is never going to come, because if I'm running away, then my mind will never generate the punyam which will be necessary for me to stabilize my mind. Yeah, so whenever, if we are doing a class, a spiritual class, we need lots of punyam even to come there. Whenever we are doing any kind of spiritual meditation, we need lot of punyam. Otherwise, someone or the other will keep on disturbing you. Or you won't get time from your daily pursuits. It is only when you have earned good money, when you have done well, or when you have, reduced your desires, even when earning less money, then you get time. Then you get time to do these things. You get time to associate with those higher thoughts. So that is how this adhikara works. And then there is a very beautiful way of looking at yajna here, which is explained here. Samaropanat Atmani Apratishedha. So normally what we do when we do a havan, we do a homa, we do it with what we call dravya, different kinds of objects, right? So we light a sacrificial fire and then we offer different kinds of dravyams or mainly which we call havi that contains annam. That annam is is the food we are offering. So when we offer food to the devtas, Agni devta becomes the mukham for the devtas. Agni accepts the sacrifice of on behalf of all the devtas and carries it. He is the carrier of the oblations, the carrier of the offerings that we give into the fire. So when we do that then that fire is going to be carrying all these offerings and distributing it to the devtas. So they are material offerings, right? So when we give that, as we said, Prithvi is Yajna Bhava. So we get that manifold in return. But then, uh, sorry, we we offer Kritam. Kritam represents clarity in our thought. So all of these are physical activities, physical offerings through which we get physical benefits, right? But the same yajna, even while doing that, offering that uh, objects, if we, how should we keep our bhava? Samaropana. I am offering myself unto myself. Atma में स्वयं को अर्पण कर रहा हूं. I am offering this limited being into the Atma. So when I offer myself into that infinite Atma, my limited Atma itself becomes infinite. So, so Agni Devta becomes Surya Devta. Surya represents the total consciousness. Agni Dev represents the limited, finite Jeev consciousness, which is striving to go upwards, always striving to go upwards. Agni is always Urdhvagami, always going in the upper direction. So Samaropana Atmani Apraja. When this kind, there is another kind of yajna in the Veda where actually you don't even need that physical fire. You do that yajna within yourself. You are offering yourself, you are giving up all your notions of limitedness. When you give up your notions of limitedness, you gain the notion of infiniteness, right? जब हम छोटे को छोड़ते हैं हमें बड़ा मिल जाता है. So we give up our smallness and we get a bigger knowledge about ourselves. So that is the Samaropana. I offer myself in this sacrifice. So that is another way of also doing a homa or a yajna. So if even while doing a yajna, the fruit that we get from yajna will depend on our bhava, on the with the emotion that we offer it to, or with the kind of feeling within me, with which we do any kind of activity there. And then further, 63rd. So sushuptasya swapna adarshane klesh abhavavat apavargaha. So what is this apavargaha? Sushuptasya swapna darshane. So someone, this is adarshane. Sorry if it sounded like darshane. So sushuptasya swapna adarshane. So someone who is in a state of deep sleep, sushupti, then swapna adarshane. He is not seeing any kind of dreams. So he is in a state of joy. He's a state of, which we saw earlier, we saw in Tattva Bodha also, is the person in state of sushupti is in a state of ananda because there are no objects or their vasanas to disturb him. So this person is having a kind of joy which is not a positive joy, we can say. It is a slightly negative joy because it is it is dependent upon the absence of objects. But what is the problem with this kind of joy? This is short lived. It will, when you come back, when you wake up from the sleep, then this will come up again. But when we reach the state of samadhi or the state of knowledge, then we reach a state where we are we have no distresses. Klesha abhavavat apavarga. So apavarga is or moksha or release is like the joy, something similar to when we are in a state of deep sleep. Only there is in deep sleep there is ignorance, but in apavarga there is the state of knowledge or complete discovery of my own soul. So that discovery leads me to release, because then I know that I am not a limited being, right? So all of this, you have this text, maybe some of you. So, hmm? Oh, oh, they missed one here. Missed here, maybe. So should this, but I have this in this book hmm, in the Hindi book also. There's a difference in numbering, right? Yeah. Okay. So someone who is in a state of deep sleep, he will not have any kind of klesha or any kind of problem. So similarly, the person who is in moksha or has attained the knowledge of Brahman is released from all kinds of bonds, all kind of bondages, or he is in a state of apvarga. But of course, that is a positive knowledge, not the negative one of sleep. The comparison is just given to indicate the joyous nature of the person in moksha. And then 64, na pravrittihi pratisandhanaya hina kleshasya. So, whenever someone has given up his pravritti, na pravritti, then pratisandhanaya hina kleshasya. Then there is no generation of kleshas within him. All the lower obstacles, the hina klesha, the obstacles that bring him to any kind of distress, they become unavailable for him, or they do not disturb him. So I will go into a different text for you because there is some difference in numbering. So na pravritti pratisandhana. They will just hold on to this. I am sharing another screen. This one is in Hindi, so don't worry about the Hindi. I'll just explain the part in English. So there is one sutra missing there. So patra chayanta anupapattehe cha phala abhava. So whenever we do any kind of agnihotra karma, homa, then we choose different kinds of utensils for doing the doing this. Agnihotra Homa. So there are different kind of utensils. The main one is the Havan Kunda, where we do the fire of sacrifice, and then we have different. We have a pot of water. Then we have a thali where we keep the Havan samagri. Then we have ghritam, the ghee in a different kind of vessel. So all of these, the availability of all of these materials, they will give us different kinds of phalams. They will give different kinds of results, right? Whatever we choose. So the different materials that we choose for our homa, on that will depend the outcome of that homa. So in this way, in a similar way, that patra chayanam that we do, that patra also when we are looking after moksha, then who is the patra? Then I am the patra, right? I am the patra. So when I am the patra, what I have to do? How can I retain any kind of knowledge? We say in Punjabi, khali bhande. I have to become an empty vessel first, right? Before we can attain that knowledge. So I have to let go of all my, all my wrong notions, all my anger, lust, envy, all the bad, all the vices that we call. And once I become a patra, I become a fit vessel for attaining that knowledge, then only moksha is available. So moksha is not just learning a certain kind of knowledge, but also becoming a receptacle for that knowledge. When I become a receptacle for that knowledge stays with me. That knowledge doesn't keep getting sullied. बार बार गंदी नहीं हो जाती. It doesn't get dirty again by my own misconceptions, which come again and again. Sometimes some people are taught something in the class, and then again they have a doubt. No, oh, this is not. This is another kind of doubt. I have to clear this first. So they have to keep clearing. So we go through what we call a process of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. I hear whatever the teacher has taught me. Shravanam, I listen to the Veda or I read the Veda. And then Mananam, I meditate upon it. I think and I remove all of my doubts. I just clarify clearly that this is the exact knowledge and all the doubts I clear. That is through discussion, rereading, asking questions to the teacher, and so on. And then finally, Nidhityasanam. When in the state of meditation, I meditate upon that thought and hold it steady so that it doesn't disturb me, and all the obstructing thoughts are removed from me. So when I become that patra chayanta, I choose that patra, I become that patra. Just like we choose the proper utensils for doing a homa, once the proper utensils are available and the proper dravyam, the objects are also available, the homa is done in a proper way. So in that is the way this process proceeds. So when I do it for internally also, I have to similarly do the right choice of patra. I have to become the right utensil or receptacle. So we can now go back to this one, 64. So na pravritti hi pratisandhanaye heen kleshasya. So someone who has gotten rid of all of these kleshas, all of these wrong, feelings within us, then his pravritti is doesn't become an obstruction. He does all of this his work as a surrendered form, in a surrendering to the Lord. He surrenders everything to his guru, to his Lord, his teachers, his parents, or anyone higher. So surrendering to a higher power is what we call karma yoga. Karma yoga, we do everything with the bhava that I am not doing this for myself, I am doing this for my Lord or for my Guru and so on. And once we do that, then all the attending, flaws or the problems that come with doing a karma, they go away. Because then I am not the doer. I give up my sense of doership. When I give up my sense of doership, then the pravritti or my activity or my karma doesn't become a source of obstruction. It does not disturb me, right? And so what happens to such a person? I'm going through the next few ones quickly because they are simpler. So na klesha santate swabhavikatvat. So then these problems of the world, they do not disturb me. Na klesha santate. They do not trouble me. Because then they are not a source of problem for me. But some will say what? Swabhavikatvat. Some will say these problems are swabhavik, so you cannot give up. What is swabhava? Swabhava is something that is the nature of something and that you cannot give up. So the definition of swabhava itself is that something that neither you can take away anything from it, nor you can add something to it. Right? So sweetness is the swabhava of sugar. You cannot take away from it. So is this are all our kleshas swabhavik? So there, this answer is being given here. Can we take 5 more minutes and maybe wind this up? Manisha, George, Anita, yes? Okay. So let's go ahead. So we are giving the example here of praga bhav. Prag utpattehe abhav bhav nityatva swabhavike api anityatvam. So whenever something is produced in this world, then before production, what was there? There was abhav of that praga bhav. That object did not exist, right? So that praga bhav is what we call natural, swabhavik. It is a natural feature of that. Yet that praga bhav we see as ending as soon as the object is produced. So here one example is given. You can apply it in the other side also. So after the object is destroyed, what happens? We give that name. What is the name we give for that? Anyone remembers earlier classes? Praga bhav, and what is the other one? Manisha, George. What is the opposite of Praga Bhav?
Pradhansa bhav? No.
Yes, right. Why are you so diffident? Right.
Okay.
Okay, so Pradvansa Bhav. Pradvansa Bhav is the absence after an object is destroyed. So again, that thing is also something that Pradvansa Bhav also is something that is ending. When it is ending, when the body is ending, that the Pradvansa Bhav, that is what we call the beginning of Pradvansa Bhav. So that also is a natural thing. So we say that something being a natural property of something, that also is ending, right? That also can end. But this is not just the complete answer. This is not just a complete answer. It is a part of the answer. So prag utpattehe abhava nityatva swabhavike api anityatvam. So this is, we can say, something that has been answered by a student has raised an objection, another student has tried to raise the objection. So now the teacher will step in. Okay, you are right in some way, but let us look at it in a different way. So this is another one. You can say this is a student answer. Anu shyamata nityatvat va. So we have a definition of anu, which is parmanu, which we say as eternal. So there is anu. The anu or the parmanu, we say it has a naturally black color. Black is basically, you can say, it is not visible to the eye, right? So, when we say a collection of anus or collection of atoms, they come together, they perform what we call a substance in the visible state. And then that substance also, when we, uh, bake it, like here it is said, when we bake something of one color, then its color will change. So that the parmanu being nitya, its color then can change. So in this way also, swabhav can change. But the author says this is not a sufficient answer. Na sankalpa nimittatvat cha ragadina. Na sankalpa nimittatvat cha ragadina. He says no, because we are not looking at denying the ending of all of these, kleshas. The kleshas, we have to understand that we apply the viewpoint of the kleshas as belonging to myself. But what is that myself? That myself is Atma. So, but the kleshas, whom do they apply to? To the body and mind, principally to the mind. It is the mind which is afflicted by these kleshas. So, they are born out of the ragadinam. They are born out of our ragas and dveshas. So when we give up our ragas and dveshas, then these kleshas will not trouble us. And the ragas and dveshas cannot be just, suppressed. You cannot just suppress, it will rise again. So suppression is never advocated in our scriptures. So our scriptures will say that ragadi nam, all the ragas and vishas have to be understood at the conceptual level, that I, the Atma, within me there can be no action or activity. I cannot have any kind of desire. So I don't need to have any raga or dvesha. Once at the conceptual level it is understood, sankalpa nimitva. When I understand it at the level of sankalpa, understand it at the level of my own determination. So then we are easily able to give up all of these flaws that come through raga and dvesha. So that ends this chapter. There's number in this. So this should be 69. There it is 68. Okay. So that ends, thankfully, after a long time, a long chapter, 69 sutras we have done. So this ends the fourth chapter, part one. So the next one will be a bit shorter. It is 50 sutras, and the other two will be even shorter, 29 and 24. So we'll continue with the next chapter in the next class, and we'll wind up for today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om